Hello and welcome to the latest of my Inside Tracks. Today I'm going to explore Mercury emerging from its shadow, its post-retrograde shadow on February the 7th. But this process began on December the 12th. So Mercury in the sign of Capricorn has either been in shadow or retrograde since that time. How has that impacted on your situation? What's your experience of this been? Has it felt that things have felt very bogged down around communications in general? Or do we create our reality around Mercury retrogrades by almost believing this is what's going on? Some astrologers would say never sign any contract during this whole process. Others would say you can't let the thought of things going wrong dominate you, and actually this is a time to regenerate, reprocess, recalibrate our approach in a positive way. So all these are the things I'm going to explore. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for joining me once more. If you're new to my channel, please comment. I interact with everyone. This is very much a community. And also please like and subscribe. First of all, I want to share with you how I'm going to structure this inside track, which is a to-the-point presentation. We need to understand the influence of Mercury first of all, then Mercury in the sign of Capricorn. Then I want to share with you the dates and the degrees of the whole process, because there is a correlation between them. It's quite synchronistic, and that's what's so fascinating. But also, when the pre-shadow period began, was there other influences involved which have had an impact in terms of the event chart? And also, when Mercury came out of its retrograde, was there anything else going on then that was influential? The answer is, in both cases, very much so. So first up, let's look at what Mercury influences generally. It's the ruler of two zodiac signs, both mutable, so flexible. The first is Gemini, the third solar house, and the second is Virgo, the sixth solar house. So travel, ticketing, distribution, health and food, instruction booklets, siblings, neighbours, social and digital media, local media, very much through Gemini, technology, of course the internet as a whole. So there's a lot of influences that come from Mercury across all of our lives, but particularly in a modern context. But what about Mercury in Capricorn? Mercury in Capricorn can push us to think about retraining, reskilling, learning more in terms of our professional situation because of the rulership of Capricorn of Saturn. So it can be very much to do with careers. I think that Mercury in Capricorn can give us an interface with the establishment, big business, the management, big institutions. It's a very realistic placement for Mercury to be. It's not so idealistic in Capricorn, but it can be very ambitious and practical. And one of the things with Mercury in Capricorn is the attention to detail, which is the Virgo influence, but in a very systematic and patient application, Capricorn. So that's gives it a great organisational and executive influence. And obviously it can be to do with teaching and publishing Mercury. So in the sign of Capricorn, it may be where we want to reach a bigger and more elevated audience. So when the pre-retrograde shadow period began, Mercury was at 8 degrees and 8 minutes. When the retrograde began, it was at 24 degrees and 21 minutes. When it came to the end of the retrograde, it's back to that point where the pre-shadow period began, 8 degrees and 8 minutes, and it exits the post-retrograde period when it gets back to the point where the retrograde itself began, 24 degrees and 21 minutes Capricorn. So anything to do with your worldly interactions, and if it has been to do with a contract, a property, a business offer, a business idea, employment, especially across those areas that I mentioned before, distribution, travel, ticketing, the digital world, technology, all of these areas I think have shown contraction. Now part of this of course is to do with the post-COVID impact in terms of the money that was pumped into markets. It exposed governments in a big way, but we also have Brexit, and of course we've had the conflict in Ukraine. So all of these things are feeding in, making business and employers, Capricorn, much more cautious in their approach. So we've seen even some of the big technology companies trying to shake out staff. I won't mention who they are, but you can work it out for yourself. So if you did have some ideas early in December that haven't played out as you thought they would, this is why. Now what about the next pre-retrograde shadow? Well, that begins on April the 7th at 5 degrees and 50 minutes in Taurus. But when the retrograde begins, it will be on April the 21st, just after the solar eclipse, the day before. And Mercury will be conjunct the moon and also Uranus in Taurus. My word, what a mix that is. Thank you so much for joining me. Please remember to like, comment or subscribe. Thank you.